Everybody, happy Friday. So today we are going to talk about infant mental health with Dr. I have to say properly, Dr. Maxine. And before we start, let me introduce myself. My name is Ange or Anjali. My name is Ange or Anjali if you like to call me, and I have been women's health movement coach for past 16 years, and certified nutrition counselor and the founder of this platform. Okay, so that is my little intro. Let me read about Dr. Maxine, and she is the creator. Just quickly see where Dr. Maxine is. XRNE. Okay. So Dr. Maxine is the creator of the foundational needs. Here she is. Welcome.
Hello.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Anjali.
And yeah, we made it.
Thank you.
Yes, it's amazing. So I was just reading your bio. So Dr. Maxine is the creator of the foundational needs model for children's well-being and founder of Childosophy. How do I say it?
Childosophy.
Childosophy. Sorry, my Nepalese comes out. Childosophy. Philosophy and a practical framework for whole child development, helping parents, educators, and professionals understand children through generational needs and soul level dimensions. What a beautiful intro, Dr. Maxine. And would you like to add anything, or that is just beautiful, short and
I
sweet?
love that, Anjali. Thank you so much. Childosophy actually comes from the idea that it's a mix of two words, obviously child, and osophy comes from wisdom, so the child's wisdom. So that's what Childosophy stands for, really, and it's honouring the child's wisdom. So I think, that's that, and it's pronounced Childosophy.
Oh, fantastic. So thank you for explaining that, because the more I'm getting older and I'm taking my time to understand my children, they are dropping wisdom all the time.
Yeah.
They have so much knowledge and they have so much to share. But I believe if we hadn't, if we were given opportunity to explore for who we are and how we want to grow, I think it would have been always there. But I think along the way we've been dumbed down, and without knowing, we're all trying our best as a parents. So so all right, before we start, I just wanted to say the little bit of disclaimer that this talk is all about to bring awareness and educational purposes. And if anyone needs any support with your baby or as a mum as well, please reach out to your healthcare practitioner. And yes, and if you like to, and also if you have questions, and people can connect with you as well, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
Yes, and fantastic. So should we start then?
absolutely. I feel like I want to jump in already, Anjali, because what you were saying about, mothering and recognizing the potential and the capacities and the wisdom that children have.
Yes.
We've had sort of limited maps and models of understanding the child's inner life or their mental health. And I think that Childosophy really speaks to that, which is wonderful, because it's allowing us as adult caregivers to see the child in a new way that offers a lot more potential than perhaps we have in the past. So our children are definitely teaching us so much.
Oh, yeah, it's like vice versa but I think just giving them the believing in them, and that I think empowers both of us,
Absolutely.
the children and ourselves as a parent. So the first thing first, for the people like myself, if we didn't understand what is infant mental health, please let us know a little bit about it.
Thank you. Well, my work is actually interested in the child's growth and development in their mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical selves, the whole gamut of what it means to be human. So the mental health side of things really speaks to, I guess, those things that how well we are, like our well-being is really about our mental, emotional health. And for a child's infant mental health, I think it's a category that we can get a little bit think, oh, am I doing something wrong, or is something I'm doing now leading to a mental health category? And I don't see things in that way. I guess I don't label or categorize. It's really about being curious to what is the mental life of a child? What does that even mean? And questioning that means that our psychologies haven't really understood that until more recently with our neuroscientific understandings of what's going on for early development, what's going on in vitro, what's happening that the child's bringing with them from the past. We can say, of course they have a mental life, of course they do. But Freud, for many years, said a child does not have a mental life until they become a certain age. So a lot of my work is really about debunking that and saying, of course they have a mental life. What does that look like, and what would mental health look like? And for me, it's always a combination of an integrated self. So the body, mind, spirit needs to be accounted for. The body, the biological processes, the growth and development in that way, but also the mental or the mind or the cognitive ways have to be included in our understanding of children. So the mental life really is more speaking to me. My understanding is that it's saying how well and what is the well-being of a child, and how do we encourage that from infancy. So it's an important topic, and one that's a lot, really, you can go very deep with it, but I think for the purpose of this, it's like infant mental health for me is just like, how do we support our children to have good mental health, which is really good well-being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for explaining that. So now, I'm not thinking of, it just being clear about why it is important to start with, right? So people who have just joined in today, we have beautiful Dr. Maxine. So we are going to talk about infant mental health, and so welcome. So, all right. So let's start with let's go towards, you talk about a blueprint being a laid down before a child has words or memory. Can you take us into what that actually means and why the earliest months matter so much more than most of the people realize?
Yeah, thank you, Anjali. I think, the maps and models that we've had to understand who we are as human beings, what do we come in with, what's predestined, what's nature, what's nurture, all those questions have been absolutely fascinating for me. And it's through the science of epigenetics that I was able to find evidence for the things that I recognized in my children, like they knew things or could do things that they hadn't been taught. They felt things, or they had responses to things that I wouldn't think could be receiving that type of response. But it's through understanding that if our children come in already equipped for their own perfect self-development, as caregivers, it's important that we do understand that they come in with a lot of information and knowledge for their own growth. That's sort of important for us as caregivers to take care of. So the blueprint is sort of set in a way, because we know genetically that there's certain things that we all carry through generations. But mostly the blueprint that I talk about and the way that I see it is that the soul, the child, comes into the world already with information. So they epigenetically carry all the memories, information and experiences of every generation before. And epigenetics can verify that there's about 7 generations of information that the newborn baby brings into the world. Wow. Now, if we're going to understand what's going on for our children and how to secure their well-being or their mental health, as we're talking about, we really need to understand that they're much bigger than we've ever imagined. And the models that we've had to understand children as infants have been really limited. So they have a blueprint, and that blueprint's not just about the things that are happening in vitro or their earliest interactions that actually carry memory and information from generations before. So that's important information for parents to know. Like, what if my child's responding to the world in ways that I can't imagine because I didn't have those experiences, or they're carrying the experiences of our family line, and we need to be watchful and mindful of that. Not to be worried, but to be curious.
That really, puts in perspective of that when my son or my daughter, when they said something amazing, and then people would say, oh, they must be watching some sort of inspirational TikTok or or some sort of videos. That's why they're talking. But he was only 2 or 3 or something like that. But they can express themselves like as if they've been like literally my husband calls him, and they like old souls.
Yes.
So the way they talk is like, and my daughter said, oh, you sound like 70 years old man, with my son. And he said, I feel like that too.
Oh, I love it.
And it was hilarious. So, being able to trust that and, like you said, be curious about it is, and I think that will give them permission to grow in their own person, right?
Absolutely. I think it's really beautiful, because I think we can only really understand another person in a way by getting curious and thinking, I wonder why they're doing that, or I wonder where that comes from, and asking those sorts of questions, but having a map that says, what if our children are bringing forward all this information? What if they are these wise souls that come in already perfectly equipped for their destiny, their purpose in life? And as caregivers, it's important that we attend to that. Even if we don't understand it, just being curious enough to say, I wonder where that information comes from. And getting curious with our children, often like him, you just expressed your son saying he feels like a 70-year-old man. I've done a lot of research in understanding children, and the cases of recalled past, if you want to bring in the idea of past life, but also the fact that in Eastern philosophies, there's the idea that the soul lives on a continuum. It's an energy that keeps coming in to have experiences. And I think we're now knowing, and science can sort of verify, that there is this continuum of consciousness that lives beyond the frame that we thought. Like, what if we're more than what we've even imagined? And I think that our children give us lots of information if we are open to really understanding their experience, rather than saying, oh, that can't happen, or that's not true, really just meeting them.
And it's and it's a kid, he's a kid, so he's just saying whatever. He must be dreaming, or he must have seen somewhere. Like, we being able to just curious and listen to them, and just be able to acknowledge that, is, I think, that will just make it. I just get so excited to think of that, our children growing as in their own people, as in person, rather than getting boxed in for their own traditional way and what is wrong, what is right. Because ourselves, we don't know. We have always been in that box, and that is what we thought right for us. But then later on, we rebelled, or we wanted to not to do it, or do it because it didn't suit us, right? So being able to accept for who they are and what they're coming up with, and I think that is a beautiful way to appreciate their mental health well-being, I guess, isn't it?
Yes, and it's really beautiful, Angela, because as you're talking about that, it's really important, I guess, to remember, as adults who have been conditioned and perhaps not seen for the power or the potential that they hold from the very earliest of interactions. It's really important that we do reset and say, oh, even if I wasn't seen as that, there's something happening within this parenting role where it's really important that you get curious, not just about what's going on for your child, but that you examine your own blueprint, your own past, where you think, oh, I was told that that's not okay, but yet I'm seeing this in my child. What do I do? And it really does force caregivers, especially mothers, I think, to trust their intuition and to say that this doesn't feel right for me to be doing something that perhaps has been happening generationally or I'm being told my child needs, when I'm feeling that there's something else going on for them, and staying sort of in that intuitive knowing whilst also managing what we're being told. And I think that's one of the key indicators to children's mental health or well-being, is that the parent meet them and make space for self-understanding in a way, like what's going on for you and how do I support you to understand yourself without adding my stuff, because you might know more than me, you know, like it's really quite humbling. And it's really the caring role, the mothering, the bonding, the connection and attunement that the caregiver has with the child that is the biggest indicator of how well they'll be and how connected and balanced they'll be in their own lives. So it's really beautiful, because it's the wave that's happening now where it's like, I can't keep doing things the way they were being done. And we have enough information now. We have so much research and so much evidence to say it's really important for mothers particularly, but parents in general, to trust what they feel and to question the things that they're being told, which is really beautiful, because our children are actually giving us clues and information every day.
All the time.
Yeah.
It's just the pulling our heartstring all the time. And then, keeping us on our toes. But at the same time, you know, I have learned so much about myself and wanting to break my old pattern, because I did not want to pass it on to my children.
Yes. It's a big impetus, isn't it? It's such a big impetus for mothers, and understanding infant mental health means that we have to actually understand our own mental health. We have to understand our own needs. We have to understand, why do I keep responding to life in this way? And if it's a pattern that doesn't serve me anymore and I see it arrive in my child, what can I do? And that's really what my work's about. Is like, oh, we're seeing something in our child that we get triggered by or we don't like. And so we're trying to change the child, rather than looking at our own mental health and saying, oh, maybe I'm expecting that because that was expected of me. And how do I really change this? How do I change the pattern? Which is really important work for so many people.
Yes, so with me, I come from Nepal, and we were always told, we were called cursed family because we didn't have a son in the family.
Yes.
Right. And when my son was born, I was like, oh my God, it was like a badge of honor, you know, for me. I broke the cycle, because we were called cursed family. I broke the cycle, and it was, as much as it was like my ego was drumming, right? And then afterwards, my son and I started having a lot of friction. But then I realized that all my life I was called cursed because of the boys.
Yes.
So I never wanted to listen to him. I never wanted to do what he wanted to do, even if it was a valid request or valid thing.
Yes.
And I realized, so that was my own self pattern, that I didn't want to give in. I didn't want him to win, because all my life I was called because of you, but it wasn't him.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So, that was a big eye-opening.
Well, I think you raised such a beautiful, that story is so beautiful, and it's so real, Anjali. You know, I think as human beings, we collect all of these ideas, beliefs and attitudes about what is good, what is bad. And culturally, there's different ones, you know, like it's interesting culturally that it's a curse if you don't, you know, sort of have this
Yes.
lineage. But it's really beautiful because we don't often really understand why we're responding to our children the way we are until we do that deep inquiry, until we look at the fact that here's this child that I've birthed and I love, and yet I'm fighting them. Like, why am I doing that? And so your ability to move through and challenge yourself, like look at yourself, know yourself, and look at why you're responding to life the way you are based on your conditioning, allows you to have a more nourishing relationship with your son, because there's not the same tear, because that awareness changes everything. Yeah, so it's like having that aspect of our mental health really supported means that that's where the change happens. So the mental health is really those beliefs, the attitudes and the patterns that lead to well-being. And if we find in our families that we're stuck on something, then we need to look within as the adult to say, why am I creating this? Why is this happening? And it's not that simple either, because our children bring us all sorts of challenges, or they bring with them all sorts of challenges that is forcing us to sort of grow and evolve and really move through life in a different way. But it can sometimes feel really hard, and it's not about seeing it as punishment or the mother or the parents doing something wrong, but seeing, oh, I wonder why this experience is coming up for us. And that approach, I think, that really does help all of the family's well-being.
I was, when I was going through the transition, before that, I was always like, why can't he be this way? Why can't my husband be this way? Why can't my family be this way? I was constantly pointing at others. But then I realized maybe I should start working on myself. And once I start working on myself, my husband started working on himself. And then the children were calm. And then the house felt and more unit in as a family. And it has been incredible journey together with my family. But at the same time, yes, I cried many times because I love them so much, but the things that I didn't know how to do, or how to make this possible, to make this beautiful family bring together. So it has been a lot of work in myself. And you know, and it has been such a beautiful journey together. So
Beautiful. Carl Jung says, and Charlie, if there's anything we wish to change, or anything we see we wish to change in our child, look to yourself and change that first. And, you know, you speaking about looking to change others, which is sort of common, like, you know, like if you think about generationally, it's like, oh, a mother does this and she helps with this. And we've all got our own individual patterning, but there's some common themes that we can look at, which is sort of, for me, being identified as we all have these foundational needs. And if they're not met in childhood, we will project onto those around us those things without looking to ourselves first. So part of infants' mental health really requires that the mother, the parent, the caregiver look to their unhealed, unmet needs before they project that, before they see something in someone else they want to change. It's almost like reflecting and saying, oh, I wonder why that's triggering me, or why do I want to change that in that person? And then that self-inquiry can start. But as you said, it's not always easy. And so there's this rebalance that needs to occur in order to see the child for who they are, not who we imagine them to be.
Yes.
And allow them to be themselves.
It is not easy to allow them to be themselves, because we are thinking of the society, we are thinking of how we were brought up, right? And we never got a chance to do those things, and now you're asking to be free, and you're asking to be all these things, and then family is saying, oh, you're ruining your kid, there is no discipline, all those things, right? And it is not easy, but
No,
believing in that, and my husband and I, my husband always said, we are the unit. The rest of the people, they
yes,
don't know.
yeah,
They don't know what's we as a us as in family, all the people, you know, what are our values. They don't know about our values, all those things, right? So, and then once I fully immersed into what he was saying, that we are a unit and we have to work together, and and that really gave me the permission to stay strong, and you know, he has my back. I always had that.
yes,
And then so we made decisions together, and we start bringing the kids together for every decision making.
yeah.
And you know, so kids, they have their voice, and then sometimes they, you know, like, excuse me, you said this, so you can't change that. And oh, and then you go like, oh, I did say that, you know. And
Well,
so
they'll make you accountable, and they'll point out the things that you haven't seen. And then I guess as a parent, it's really beautiful to remember that we get a choice in how we respond. We can either react or make it about us or get offended, or we can get curious to, oh yeah, you're absolutely right. I've told you that, but I'm doing it, and now I need to work on that. And that builds this trust and connection with children, that they know that it's okay to make a mistake. It's okay to speak the truth. It's okay to assert myself. And all of those things are really building a solid sense of self. But the thing that I loved about what you just said, Anjali, was the idea that when you work as a unit, so an infant's mental health is definitely a reflection of the parent's mental health. So the more aligned a parent is, the more I guess, stability they're bringing to the child. As we know, if someone's got a different idea about that and the other person's got a different idea about that, then the child's nervous system and the child's body is like, I'm confused. Which thing do I go after? And a lot of these decisions that the child's making are not conscious. They're body-based responses to the environment. So having a solid unit as a parental energy developmentally is one of the biggest gifts we can give our children, for sure.
Yeah, thank you for, you know, rephrasing so beautifully, because we are doing what we think, what we're feeling right to do.
Yes.
Because there is no guidelines, there is no book, there's no
well,
nothing.
there's lots of advice, is my
Yes,
feeling. A lot of young parents, young mums are really like, it's too much. There's too much information out there, and we fear that we're going to do something that's going to have an impact on our children, rather than saying, what if I trusted myself and I knew that this soul that I've birthed is here for so many reasons, but mostly they know what they need, and it's my job to learn how to speak their language. It's my job to learn how to attune with them so that I can offer them that caregiving. And what happens in the process is generally we see what's got to be developed in us first. And I really would, and my work encourages, and everyone that I work with, I encourage, trust yourself. But because we've never been encouraged to honour our intuition, or to know that we might be able to connect in a different way with our children rather than the ways we've done in the past, that's the sort of biggest leap, which is what you're talking about before when you said about looking at ourselves.
No, well, you know, we did not follow through the questions, but we just talked about, you know, the real lived experience, along with you brought your insights, in professional insights and wisdoms, and it has been such a beautiful time talking here. It's because I think it's so much easier to relate when we're talking in a lived experience.
Yes.
And then yeah, thank you so much. Like we did not talk about,
I feel we were just getting started, Anjali, but I you know, I appreciate the time to talk, and it's such a big topic, but it's really important that we sort of do take it in small steps, because it can be overwhelming. It can be overwhelming to think, what's my responsibilities? But really, it's nice to know that there's ways that we can approach it, even in the most simple ways, bonding, connecting, being curious instead of thinking that there's something wrong, like just getting really curious about why is my child expressing that, or what behavior, what unmet need might be beneath that behavior. And I think those sorts of things really give us reassurance, and then we just take it step by step, because every family, every mother-child dynamic, every parent-child dynamic is unique. And it's important that we trust ourselves enough to say, if something doesn't feel right, then I might look for something else. And I don't know how many generations before us had as much leeway to so much information. But rather than getting overwhelmed, just coming back to trusting yourself and your intuition and getting to know yourself. And, you know, that's the my passion, my work, for sure, helping people to realise that they're maybe just responding to something that they can develop in themselves without giving themselves a hard time about it.
So what does the simple, and like you said, bonding time, what does this simple example that bonding time might look like?
I think if you're energetically clear, so we all know that when we're preoccupied, when there's something else grabbing our attention, when we're overwhelmed, that our children pick up those feelings and they interpret them in ways we're just beginning to understand. So it could mean for the child, mum's not interested, mum's not here, I can't reach mum, I don't know how to have my needs met. Now, they won't communicate it that way, but they'll start to pull back or whatever if we're distracted and we're not really bonding in that way. So being present when you're present, like really present, like giving yourself. And even if you start with small increments, like it could be, I'm going to attend completely. And it's easier when our little ones are little, like when they're babies, that infant, it's much easier to be completely immersed. But I guess today with technology, so many people are doing something else whilst they're feeding or something else while they're doing, because it really is a full-time job to care for this child. And it's not that you can't continue to live life, but when you're with someone, be with them. And if you can find a way to leave another task so that you can at least have that connection before you say, now I'm going away again, the child really feels like I'm important, I matter, I'm valued, I'm not invisible. And there's a lot of work and research around the idea of, you know, how detrimental it is to children when they feel that they're not the priority. Now, I don't mean in a sense that we don't have lives outside of that, but it's the time that we're present energetically with our children at those critical times, and then they know that they're safe, they know that they're loved, they know that they're being seen and appreciated at a deep level. Their nervous systems know that. So they're not always looking for mum or dad or looking for attention. With my foundational needs model, Anjali, like I really have spent years looking at the different ways unmet needs present. So distraction or fidgeting or over attention would all come back to that unmet need to feel that they're
be seen, and you want to feel like you want to be seen and heard. So you're always trying to do something that would get people's attention.
Absolutely. Right? Yeah, but bonding, a present, energetic, a present moment attention to the child, and really listening, not just hearing but not listening, all those skills we can develop in ourselves as we're nurturing, you know, our children. And they're sort of simple everyday things that we can do, and that's what my work is, sort of supporting people when they say, oh, my child keeps doing this, oh, perhaps it could be that this need's unmet, and how you meet that need for you, but also how you meet that need for your child. Yeah, so it's beautiful.
Oh, we haven't even started, and the time is, but we will have to do so many other episodes. It has been truly an honor to have you here and talk this really heartfelt, the talk as a parent and as a learner myself, and how I'm growing as in person as a parent, and how much I have learned since I have started to listen to my children. And thank you so much.
Oh, and
yeah, where can people find you and your beautiful work?
Yeah, absolutely. So my work is Childosophy, as we talked about at the beginning, and it's www.childosophy.com. You'll find everything sort of on the website, but I'm coming to the Gold Coast in August to do a parent reset day. So that's another thing. You'll find that on the website anyway.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
So I'll put the website in the content, and then people can find it there. And yeah, we cannot wait to see you, and maybe I will get to meet you in person in August.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yes, and you'll be sponsoring our next month all the topics. So yeah, we will. Yeah, we are so honored. Thank you so much for your support.
And Charlie, thank you so much. And I know we only just got started, but thank you for allowing me here today.
Yes, so we will. Yeah, people will see your. Yeah, all the posts coming in, all the collaborations coming in, and it has been an honor to have you here and to start the journey with you.
Thank you, Anjali.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Oh, and if anyone's got any questions, I'm happy to answer them on your page or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, yes, please send it through to me, or I can pass it to, Dr. Maxine, or you can directly contact her too, because we will be, adding all the details here in a content. And yes, would you like to add anything else before we finish?
I actually just want to say thank you. And also I did want to add, and I know I just said it, but if anyone's got questions, sometimes it's almost like a simple thing. I actually have a school community called Soul Generation. But if people just pop their questions on your feed, I'll get to them. I'll definitely be paying attention to that, and I'll answer anything that comes through, Anjali. So just keeping the conversation going, and I guess just realizing that we're all doing the best we can, and that there's nothing that happens that really is not able to be repaired. But then how do we do that, and what angle do we take to sort of enter that? And I think knowing that our children are the most precious and wise beings that are here to help all of us grow.
Yes. Well and truly. I'm always on my toes.
Yes, I have adult children and I'm still on my toes. So
yes, someone said that adults are the little children in a big bodies.
Oh, I love that. Well, I guess if you're their mother, that's sort of what you see simultaneously, but to witness the different stages, ages, and the amazing growth that you're able to have as your children go through each age and stage is actually phenomenal. So it's all just beautiful. But yes, it's a lovely analogy, little people in big bodies, but aren't we all?
Yes, exactly. So these days when I'm seeing somebody and I say, if that person is a little child, what would they want? At this time, why are they angry? Why are they cutting in front of me all of a sudden in a car? Or why? Just being curious, like you said, that curious has been the big topic today. They stood out for me. And yes, and we will talk more about this. And thank you so much, Dr. Maxine, for being here. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. See you. Bye. Have a good evening.